Hey guys, welcome to Something for Fun, Something for Faith. Pastor Mike here. We're going to be making some grilled cheese. Let's do it. Hey guys, so we're going to be making some grilled cheese today, but a lot of people when they make grilled cheese, they cook on really high heat, they make it really fast, and then it's pretty bland and normal. Today we're going to elevate that grilled cheese, and we're going to start by figuring out better ways to cook it, as well as things that we can add to it just to elevate the whole flavor profile. As always before cooking, make sure, especially in these times, that you wash your hands and make sure you wash them thoroughly.
Where's your trash can, Pastor Mike?
There it is.
So we're going to start over here, we're going to add some tomato.
If you like to talk to tomatoes, if a squash can make.
So the big thing with tomato is make sure you use the correct knife. All right, so I'm going to show you 3 knives. I want you to choose which knife you think is the best knife.
I like that one in the middle.
Do you know how to use that thing?
Yes. The pointy end goes into the other man.
All right, so that's actually a cheese knife, which is actually really good for cutting tomatoes, believe it or not. But most of you probably won't have a cheese knife. The big thing is stay away from any flat-edged knife. You're going to destroy the tomato. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna cut the top off, sawing motion back and forth. And you're not gonna put it like this, you're gonna curl them in and use this part of your hand. Do you see that? Like a little bit of a claw. You're gonna make it, we want it kind of thin, not too thick. This is actually a bad tomato. It's got green in the middle, which means it's not that ripe. So we don't want to use this tomato. Make it consistent. Remember, you want it to stay together. Don't squish the tomato. We're going to get a couple good slices out of this. One of the most important things to do is clean as you go. As clean as you go. Never do what I just did. Never leave a knife in the sink. Rinse it off, put it on the side, or put it out of reach so you don't stab somebody.
The pointy end goes into the other man.
Most of you are probably gonna wanna take the margarine or the butter, we're using margarine today, and just stick it around the pan, turn the heat on. Bad.
Look at me when I'm talking to you. Mac, did you sneak some pizza?
Bad. Don't do that. All right, first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna heat up the pan. We're not gonna put it on super high. We're gonna put it on about medium high. So you see medium, high, halfway. And we're gonna let that heat up. Now we wait.
What should they be doing while they wait, Pastor Mike?
Well, since you have everything ready, just make sure you have what we call mise en place, which is everything in order and everything in its place. So we have our margarine, we have our tomatoes,
Mise en place?
we have some bacon, which I didn't tell you we're gonna be doing one of these. And we also have our bread with our American cheese all ready to go. So when it's hot enough, you'll be able to feel the heat up here. Don't get to the point where you can touch the pan. Get to the point where you can feel the heat right here. It's getting ready. So now we're gonna take our margarine, 2 tablespoons. We're just gonna put that right on there and let that go.
Ooh. Oh.
Spread that margarine all the way around. So the reason we're cooking this on medium-high heat is we don't want the margarine to burn. So now, once the margarine's pretty well melted, you're gonna take your bread and cheese, stick it into the pan. Now I'm gonna explain why the cheese looks the way it does. There's cheese on the top on the left side, on the bottom on the right side, and I used a half piece to fill it up. And the reason I did that is when we flip the grilled cheese over, you're not gonna have cheese on every part of the grilled cheese.
How can you ever have too much cheese?
Too much of any good thing is bad,
Ooh.
except for Jesus.
Preach. Next week, we'll be covering how to organize your cabinets with Pastor Mike.
You're funny. If you want this cooking to go a little bit better, you can take a nice big lid and just stick it right over the top. Do what we call convection heating, as you allow the heat to get trapped by the lid and then come back down onto the grilled cheese. And remember, we're trying to slow cook this grilled cheese. We don't want to rush into it. We want to give it time for the flavors to mature and for the cheese to melt and everything to just melt together all pretty. And we're starting to see some cheese meltage happening right here. See, it's starting to melt. That's perfect. Now is when we're gonna add the tomato. 4 slices, I think. But only put them on one side, and you'll see why in a second. One of these we're gonna add some bacon to, because bacon makes everything better. So yes, your grilled cheese isn't gonna be done as fast, but patience always pays off.
Faster.
Patience is a virtue.
Not right now, it isn't.
That's not part of the lesson. This is the most important part, is we have to be very careful with how we flip this over. Now the good news is, if we did this right, yeah. So I like mine a little bit darker, and the reason is this isn't burnt, this is flavor. We're adding a lot of that flavor into the sandwich, and also because we cooked it on a lower heat, we're able to get a better melt, and we're also able to get that heat into the tomato. If you don't like yours as dark as mine, don't get distracted by Adler, who's holding the camera in my face the whole time. And you can just cook it a little bit less than I did. I probably should have turned it a little sooner. Cut on diagonals. Don't trust anyone who tells you to cut it straight. They're crazy.
Eeny, meeny, miny.
Oh, that's too there.
Ah!
And there's your grilled cheese.
Wow.
It's so good. And the reason why is because we're adding a lot of textures to this very simple meal. Grilled cheese tends to be soggy with a little bit of crisp. This now is a lot more crisp. There's a little bit of that little bite into the tomato with the crispy bacon and the little char on the outside and the gooiness of the cheese. Everything just melds together into a better dish. So, bon appetit. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the grilled cheese. Hopefully you guys are making that at home. If not, you're salivating at home, and that's fine too. But let's go ahead and bring this to God, because I think that this thing we did with the grilled cheese actually does make a lot of sense when it comes to the Bible and when it comes to our relationship with God. So guys, when I think about our situation, I think a lot about Martha in Luke. In Luke chapter 10, verse 38, if you want to follow along, it says, "As Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. She had a sister called Mary who sat at the Lord's feet, listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to him and asked, 'Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me.' 'Martha, Martha,' the Lord answered, 'you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her.'" And what Jesus is saying there is, Martha, you're just so busy. Spend time with me. I'm here. That's what's important. Spend that time with me. You know, I mean, if you think about the grilled cheese for a second, you tend to rush to get it done, right? You slap some bread on there, you slap some butter, you put some cheese, you stick it on there really fast, high heat, cook, slap, slap, done. And you're like, okay, there's my grilled cheese, I'm done. And I think we do that with God too often. We spend our relationship with him where we're like, okay, I gotta rush it in, I just gotta get it done, slap, slap, done. I did my prayer, I prayed to God, I read my scripture really quick, done. And I think sometimes we need to be more intentional with our time. Just like with this grilled cheese, we were a little more intentional. We cooked it on lower heat. We spent more time cooking it. We spent more time adding stuff to it, adding the tomato and adding the bacon to elevate the flavors. I think it's the same thing with God. We need to spend more intentional time with him. Instead of just saying, I'm gonna pray for 2 seconds before my meal because that's what I do, actually set aside time to say, I'm gonna spend some time with God today. Or I'm gonna spend some time reading scriptures. I'm not gonna let, a time limit get in the way. I'm just gonna sit down and read scripture and spend time with God. Or I'm gonna spend time worshiping God today. And really taking that intentional time. I think that's the message that God has for us today, is this week, I want you guys to think about how can you make intentional time for God? Because let's be serious, guys. You guys are home, you're very bored. You have a lot of time on your hands. This is the perfect time to start taking some more time with God. So guys, your challenge this week is to go on Instagram and post something that you normally rush that you're now able to spend time in. All right, we're obviously specifically talking about God here, but what is some things that you typically rush when it comes to your relationship with God that you now have that time and that you're starting to do? And if you have a photo or you have a video, bonus points, put it up there. We just want to encourage one another during this time to really be intentional with our time with God this week. And if you have questions on how to do that or what that looks like, email me, email Adler. We'd be more than happy to give you some ideas. Talk to your leaders. You know, you can always email or text your leaders, guys. They're more than willing to talk to you guys during this time and be there for you. This is a great opportunity. You guys have all the time in the world right now without the busyness of life, because there's nothing for you to do. There's nothing for you to go out and do. This is your chance. Open up the scriptures, put on some worship music, pray to God, and spend that intentional time. Thanks for joining us this week.